A blindfolded queen kneels on cold stone. A blade waits silently behind her. The air holds spring chill and the scent of damp earth. Yet sharper still is the blood's metallic bite. She tastes iron on her tongue. She feels rough wood under her knees. She hears distant footsteps echoing on stone. She hears hushed breathing. Then, silence. She was queen. Then she was a traitor. Then, a headless body on Tower Green. Anne Boleyn knows this moment. Her memory flickers. Laughter in candlelit halls. Music drifting through chambers. The feel of fine gowns brushing her skin. All distant now. Each breath tightens. The blindfold presses. Darkness closes in. Her mind narrows to one sense. Waiting. The blade will speak for the king. She breathes in cold air. She waits. Anne was born amid thick walls and winding halls of Havre Castle. She learned early to move with care on uneven floors. She knew the smell of timber and torch smoke. She learned manners at her mother's side, practiced in mirrored chambers. In France, at court of Anne of Cleves' cousin or Queen Claude's circle, she heard French spoken like music. She learned language, dance steps, verses from poets. She felt pride in each new skill. She felt hunger for more, knowledge, influence, esteem. Back in England, she walked palace corridors with cautious steps, sensing power in nuance, a lowered gaze, a measured pause, choice of words. She learned that survival and advancement could hinge on small gestures. She felt both thrill and unease. The world of court shimmered with possibility and danger. Her family pressed ambition, alliances by marriage, favor at court. She watched older siblings marry, navigate alliances. She sensed that for a woman, power was fragile, yet within reach if played well. She carried this knowledge with her, a restless pulse beneath calm exterior. Before we move on, we want to thank you for listening. We really like making these videos and would highly appreciate it if you subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Let's move on. At Henry's court, Anne's presence stirred attention. She wore gowns rich in color, green velvet trimmed with gold thread, sleeves embroidered with pearls. She moved through halls, scented with burning wood and melting wax. She spoke softly, but with clear tone, drawing eyes. Henry watched. He pursued. She tested him. She refused passive compliance. He pressed harder. She felt a tension like heat on skin. When he sought annulment from Catherine, Anne stood at center of a storm. Church authority, politics, personal desire. She felt the weight of each council meeting, each envoy's question. She sensed fear in advisors around the king. She sensed hope in reformers. She felt her own heartbeat quicken when Henry declared break with Rome. She married him in secret ceremony. Later, public coronation. Velvet robes brushing stone floors, trumpets sounding, crowds cheering. She felt the crown's weight, both literal and unseen. Expectation to bear a son, to guide king's choices. She bore Elizabeth in September 1533. In that moment, she felt relief and concern. A daughter brought joy, but the quest for a male heir would overshadow all. Court celebrated, but whispers already turned. No son yet. She felt tension and smiles from courtiers. She felt pleasure and triumph tempered by dread of what might come next. Anne moved through chapels where Latin once ruled. She pressed for English prayers. She supported scholars translating scripture. She heard pages turning, quills scratching on parchment, voices reading new words in English. She felt hope in these gatherings. She guided sermons to stress personal faith. She urged removal of some rituals seen as tied to old ways. She hosted small salons, candlelight on pages, low voices discussing faith. She sensed energy and fear mingled. Some courtiers and clergy welcomed change. Others saw threat. She felt glances that sharpened like blades. She felt shifts in alliances. Those who praised yesterday might turn on her tomorrow. She noticed Thomas Cromwell's careful gaze, ally of reform, yet cautious of extremes. She saw nobles whisper in corners. She felt the court's pulse turning restless. Each policy she backed carried weight, favor or risk. She felt tension rise with each meeting. A shift in tone, a curt reply, a withheld invitation. She knew influence offered reach, but also painted a target on her back. By early 1536, tension tightened around her like a noose. Henry sought a son. Jane Seymour's name drifted in corridors. Anne saw courtiers glance at Jane with forced courtesy. Rumors gathered. The king's favor slipped. She felt a knot in her stomach each time Henry's letters arrived. Warm words laced with distance. She sensed plotting, statements taken from men under pressure. She felt dread grow in silent evenings. She heard faint cries in interrogation rooms, men confessing under threat of torture. She smelled damp walls of tower cells where accused lay. She pictured her brother George trapped in similar webs. She heard that Cromwell collected witness statements, Mark Smeaton's broken voice, Henry Norris's forced words. She knew the charges: adultery with multiple men, incest with brother. She knew evidence was flimsy but weighty once named. She felt horror that whispers could become death sentences. She sensed the trap closing, though no clear warning came. The same halls where she once laughed now echoed with treachery. Dawn on May 2nd, 1536, arrived with pale light. Anne woke unsettled. Soldiers knocked without warning. She dressed in plain gown, no jewels, no fanfare. Her hands trembled. She moved through halls where tapestries muffled footsteps, but now each footstep felt final. Guards flanked her, their faces unreadable. Outside, the air tasted cold. She mounted a cart. Chains lay hidden but pressed on her wrists. The cart rattled on uneven stones. Crowds edged back. Some stared with pity. Some turned eyes away. She smelled damp cobblestones and felt breeze against her cheeks. She boarded a barge at Trader's Gate. Oars dipped rhythmically into Thames, water cold and dark. She heard each splash. The tower's walls rose ahead, gray and foreboding. The gate closed with heavy clang. The echo chased her into silence. Inside corridors lit by torches felt narrow and oppressive. She entered a cell. Rough stone walls, narrow window high above, sliver of sky. The cold seeped into bones. Food came, stale bread, cold porridge, water in chipped cup. The taste was dull, like hope drained. Nights brought distant murmurs, footsteps, clanking chains, dripping water. She lay on straw-strewn floor or narrow pallet, shivering. She thought of Elizabeth in safe rooms at court, unaware. She prayed for mercy that felt lost. Each sunrise pressed weight again. Another day in stone and fear. Interrogations began soon. Commissioners arrived in small windowless rooms, lit by flickering candles. She sat at a plain table. They spoke of evil acts. They listed names, courtiers once in her circle. They claimed proof, gifts, glances, secret letters. They claimed incest with George. She denied each calmly. Gifts were customary, gestures misread, rumors false. She watched torchlight glint on their faces. They exchanged looks. They pressed, confess and end torture, deny and face harsher fate. She saw men who once bowed before her avert eyes now and then. Betrayal stung sharper than fear. Each session ended with the same heaviness. The outcome fixed. She returned to cell, feeling that walls close further. She paced, feeling rough stone under feet. She tried to pray, but words tangled. She wrote on scraps when given. Messages to Elizabeth, love, guidance, plea for forgiveness if she failed. She tied strand of hair to notes, hoping the token might reach her child. She washed face with cold water, combed hair until smooth. She noticed how hunger left her. Rations tasted like ash. Sleep fled. Dreams turned nightmares. A crown slipping. A blade rising without warning. Elizabeth alone. Each knock on cell door made heart leap. Guards brought food or messages, but avoided her eyes. Isolation weighed heavy. Her body weakened. Nights she shivered. Mornings muscles ached. She realized how alone a fallen queen could be when favor ended. Each breath felt borrowed. Each thought circled back to fate, sealed in whispers. On May 15, 1536, she stood in the tower's great hall. The hall's high vaults echoed torches' flicker. Stone walls bore silent witness. She wore black velvet trimmed with red beneath, simple cap on head. She felt its weight and the eyes upon her. She stood at the bar, before her, nobles, bishops, men whose fortunes tied to king's will. Charges read, adultery with men whose names she once knew, incest with brother, plotting king's death. She knew claims lacked real proof. Evidence came from forced confessions, jealous rivals. She addressed court, voice steady though heart pounded. She denied each charge. She spoke of loyalty, of care for Elizabeth, of faith in God. She felt torch heat on skin, smelled tallow smoke. She saw faces, some hardened, some softening with pity, some masked in duty. Murmurs rose, then fell, yet verdict felt sealed. Thomas Cromwell's influence reached here. Her brother's trial days earlier ended in confession under duress. She sensed shame. When guilty fell from lips, she bowed head, holding tears back. Sentence, death by sword, a swift end set as mercy. Mercy felt distant. She thought of Elizabeth's future shaped by this day. She left with measured steps. Guards led her back through corridors where tapestries muffled sound, but her mind roared. Stone walls seemed to press close. Whispers followed. If Anne falls, who is safe? The hall emptied. Silence settled as torches dimmed in memory. Her final hours came in a cell prepared near scaffold area. Narrow bed with thin cover awaited against cold stone. Air smelled of damp and candle smoke. She refused food. Hunger felt distant. She knelt by small window, pale light edging through. She saw sky shifting from dark to gray. She thought of Elizabeth, child in uncertain world. She thought of Mary, half-sister bound by other trials. She lit a candle. Flame flickered against stone. She wrote brief note. Words of love to Elizabeth, guidance on faith, instructions for care, plea for forgiveness if she failed. She tied strand of hair to note, hoping token might reach child. She washed with cold water, combed hair until it lay smooth. She chose a gown, dark satin, simple trim, lined to catch light, but not draw undue eyes. She smoothed folds by candlelight, feeling fabric's weight on skin. She practiced calm breathing. Inhale slowly, exhale. She whispered prayers. Into your hands, Lord, I commend my spirit. Each word struck mine like drum. She felt body tremble. She steadied with will. A guard entered with water. He avoided her eyes. She nodded. They led her through corridors, stone underfoot, torches casting dancing shadows. She passed cells where others awaited fates unknown. She smelled damp air, heard distant metal clank. Morning light seeped through narrow slits. She paused before a door, smooth wood worn by time. She touched it, recalling times of refuge behind such doors. Now it led to end. She drew a breath, steeling herself. She stepped forward without looking back. Tower Green lay within walls, yet out of public view. Morning light was pale, sky brushed with gray. The scaffold, simple platform of rough wood, block set for a single stroke. No large crowd. Officials stood near in sober dress. A few attendants arranged final moments. Beyond walls, distant watchers remained silent. The air carried scent of damp grass, of earth softened by spring rain, and faint hint of blood from prior trials. Anne climbed steps barefoot. Wood felt coarse under soles. She stood at block. 2 women attendants drew linen cloth to blindfold her. Darkness pressed her eyes. She knelt, back straight, shoulders firm. She felt bead of sweat at nape of neck despite chill. She whispered under breath. Words lost to time but strong in resolve. The executioner, known for skill with sword, stood behind. Blade caught morning light. She breathed in, and it was over. A single arc, A clean cut. Silence fell. Blindfold dropped. Her body lay still, head separate. A hush followed. No cheers, no sobs. Only soft shift of cloth and distant murmur of wind. Executioner lifted her head by hair, showing to empty space beyond. The image, hair fanned. Face calm in death. Head wrapped and taken to London Bridge as warning. Body carried to chapel within Tower grounds. The scent of blood lingered on wood, on air. The echo of steel on cold stone remained in minds long after. Word spread swiftly through court. The Queen was gone. Shock rippled. Fear tightened throats. If Anne could fall, no one was safe. Alliances shifted overnight. Some nobles distanced themselves. Some whispered loyalty in hushed tones, eyes flicking to walls. Henry moved on with rapid resolve. Within days, he turned to Jane Seymour. The court celebrated new queen in subdued tones, wary of fate's turn. Behind public face, Henry felt cost. He lost partner in reform, felt echo of ambition's price. He carried grief buried under duty and need for male heir. Elizabeth, barely 3, was kept at court, but under watchful eyes. Her fate uncertain. Mary watched from her own place, aware of dangers of court life. The realm felt tremors. Break from Rome pressed forward under new influences, shaped by what happened to Anne. Religious changes gained momentum. Some saw them as linked to cruelty shown. Others accepted shifts as king's will. Common folk murmured. Stories spread of Queen fallen. Whispers of injustice and fear. Some felt relief. Others felt unease at sudden end. The Tower's gates seemed to hold secrets deeper than before. Life at court resumed, but carried shadow of mourning on Tower Green. Years passed. Elizabeth rose to power, aware of mother's fate. She carried lessons. Favor can vanish. She navigated court with caution, shaped by Anne's fate. Reign brought stability and cautious reform. Mary's reign reflected other currents. The religious landscape bore imprint of Anne's time. English scriptures in hands of many, though swings occurred. Courtiers spoke of Anne in coded ways, as cautionary tale, or as figure of sympathy. The Tower became tourist site for those drawn by dark history. Guides pointed to spot on Tower Green. Stones seemed to hold memory, a hush in air when one lingered. Visitors felt chill moving through halls once filled with life and intrigue. They heard story. Blindfolded queen, steady blade, hush after cut. They felt weight of past pressing still. Artists painted scenes of Anne's final moments. Crown discarded, blindfold tight, blade raised. Writers retold her rise and fall in histories that mixed fact and horror. Her daughter's reign gave Anne indirect vindication. Elizabeth's achievements cast light back on mother's role. Yet stories stayed tinged with tragedy and warning. Ambition and favor can bring heights and depths. Each year, scholars studied letters Anne wrote, prayers, messages to Henry, notes to Elizabeth. They saw intelligence, will, faith. They felt sorrow reading final lines. They felt echo across centuries. A life ended by blade. A crown turned sentence. The memory lived not just in dusty pages, but in stone corridors, in whispered tours, in silence that follows mention of her name. There are queens remembered for triumph, and queens remembered for terror. Anne's end came not with fanfare, but with silence, blood, and the cold weight of steel, her body buried in unmarked grave within chapel walls. Her head stood above the river as warning carved in flesh, yet her name endured beyond stone and water. The echo of steel on flesh never left the Tower. It returns in quiet moments, a chill in ancient halls, a guide's lowered voice, a reader's shiver over her letters. The horror did not end with the cut. It lived in every stone that bore witness. A life built on favor vanished in an instant. A crown became a sentence. The blindfolded queen on cold stone remains a reminder. No one escapes death's reach, not even a queen who reshaped a nation. Her body buried, her name erased, but the echo of steel on flesh never left the tower. England turned the page, but it never forgot the smell. If you came this far, click the next video on the screen now. Subscribe to stay with us as we explore more dark turns of history.